Donald Trump's troubles in Georgia back in the spotlight today. A hearing in Fulton County this afternoon addressed a number of procedural motions in the ex-president's election interference case. But the focus was on Fulton County prosecutors, who appeared in public for the first time since unsubstantiated allegations surfaced earlier this week. The district attorney, Fani Willis, improperly hired a romantic partner to prosecute Trump, and that she financially benefited from their relationship. Per the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, quote, a spokesman for Willis has said the office will address them in an upcoming court filing, but the timing is unclear. Fulton County Judge Scott McPhee, who's overseeing the case, said he will wait until after Willis responds to the allegations before scheduling a hearing on the matter, likely next month. The hearing did address Trump's request to obtain additional information about correspondence between Fani Willis and the January 6th committee, with Willis's team claiming there is nothing they learned from the committee that has not already been released publicly. Joining us now, Atlanta Journal-Constitution political reporter Greg Bluestein and president of the National Action Network and host of Politics Nation here on MSNBC, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Greg, Republicans, they have seized on those unsubstantiated allegations about Fani Willis. Talk both about their motivation and about whether or not any of this would change the facts of the case.
Yeah, that's a key word here, Alicia. It's unsubstantiated, but because Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, the special prosecutors also involved in these unsubstantiated claims, have not yet responded, it's left a void that Republicans have eagerly entered. We now have Republicans here in Georgia, in Washington, and on the campaign trail, using these to fuel politicized accusations against Fani Willis, saying that she should be reprimanded. The U.S. House Judiciary Committee, the Republican-led House Judiciary Committee, just launched a formal investigation into Nathan Wade. And here in Georgia, there's more calls from Republican allies of Donald Trump to reprimand Fani Willis, to open new investigations of her in Atlanta. And there's a lot of Democrats who are really concerned because there is that vacuum. There is no formal response yet from Fani Willis and her team, her allies. They say it's forthcoming in a court filing, but until that comes, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Well, in that vacuum, Rev, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene now filing a criminal complaint against DA Willis. What do you think? What is this all about?
Well, it's certainly we know that this Congresswoman engages in political theater. Since no one knows what the response is, and so since there's no substantiation at all, no one given any kind of evidence to support any allegation, then what is she talking about? When you have on the other side a guy she's supporting for president that's facing 91 felonies and several civil cases, that doesn't bother her at all. He should be president of the United States. So it would be laughable if it wasn't so silly.
All right, let's get back to the substance here, because, Greg, part of what was addressed today was this reporting from Politico about a meeting between the January 6th committee and Fani Willis's team. Committee staff quietly met with lawyers and agents working for Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis in mid-April 2022, just as she prepared to convene a special grand jury investigation. In the previously unreported meeting, the January 6th committee aides let the district attorney's team review, but not keep a limited set of evidence they had gathered. Trump's team wants information about this meeting. Of course, what do you think they could learn that has not already been released publicly by the committee, Greg?
Yeah, that's the big question, because this is part of the Republican narrative that there was somehow collusion between Joe Biden's administration and District Attorney Fani Willis, who has said, she had said at one point that she didn't even know if Jack Smith would know how to spell her name. That was a few months ago. By now, she's a little bit more famous. But at the same time, we had Nathan Wade say, and other prosecutors say today, they didn't keep notes and that nothing from that committee meeting, no documents from that committee meeting were secret. They were all revealed during the January 6th committee testimony and the other documents that were publicly available. So they're saying there's nothing secret. There's no secret part of that meeting.
Rev, we also saw a motion from Rudy Giuliani to interview the 4 cooperating defendants, Kenneth Chesebro, Jenna Ellis, Scott Hall, Sidney Powell. His lawyer wants to interview them without the state present. How much do you think he is worried about what it is they will say about him to investigators?
I think he's petrified. I mean, for him to say that he wants his lawyer to interview them without the state present is clearly a way of them trying to gauge at best what they're going to say, and at worst try to in some way persuade them not to say certain things that would compromise Rudy Giuliani. And let's not forget, Rudy Giuliani was a U.S. attorney. He knows very well the boundaries that he can and cannot do when you're a defendant and you have witnesses against you that can give primary evidence against you. So this is not just a shot in the dark. This is an attempt to try everything that you can possibly do to stall the process and to try to blur the vision of people that are watching this in the public.
Greg, anything else stand out to you at the hearing today?
Well, just the timeline now. We were at the earliest, a February hearing that involves these claims. Donald Trump's attorney has said that he wants a chance to review the response by Fani Willis and her team of prosecutors before deciding whether to join a motion to dismiss the case. You talked a little bit earlier about whether or not there's a legal case to undermine this entire prosecution. Most legal experts say no. But, you know, there is worries about the optics, that it plays into that Republican narrative that this case is politicized, and we'll be waiting anxiously to see and hear from Fani Willis's response.